Here we go. Good evening, everybody. I'm Councillor Bob Webb, Chair of the SACRE Board, and welcome to this evening's meeting. First item on the agenda is, of course, apologies for absence and declarations of interest. So firstly, on apologies, we've had Fleur Kennedy, Dee Boyle, Sue Blount and Councillor Rowley, and Penny Coppin-Siddle will be joining us as soon as she can make it here. I think after, have we got any other apologies for absence that aren't? No? Okay. Before we go any further, just for my benefit, because I wasn't at the meeting in January, I wonder if we can just go once around the table just to make sure we're all aware of who we are and what we're doing and why we're here. So, as I said, I'm Bob Webb. I'm exec member for Children, Young People and Education on the council. Taco?
Hi, I'm Taco Michiels. I represent Group C. I'm a secondary school teacher from the Joseph Rowntree School.
Just you.
I'm Ben Rich. I'm the Vice Chair and I'm a member of Group A representing the Jewish faith.
I'm Maxine Squire. I'm Assistant Director Education and Skills and Local Authority Advisor to SACRE.
Hi, I'm Angela Beale, be the Democracy Officer and Clerk to SACRE.
Hi, I'm Colin Lewison. I'm in Group A and I'm representing York Humanists.
I'm Mark Jones. I'm in Group A and representing the Buddhists.
I'm Councillor Emily Knight and I represent rural West York, and yeah, that's all you need to know really.
I'm Tony Lawton and I don't seem to have been on the record somehow, but I think that's been rectified. I am now. I'm a retired solicitor. Is that what they want? No, okay.
Thank you, Tony. That's really helpful as well, because yeah, as I said, I don't think we've met before, so it's good to just do those introductions. Online, we have several members as well who are not in the room. Diane, could you just introduce yourself?
Yeah, good evening. I'm Diane Norton. I work at York St John University.
Thank
Forget
you.
which group I'm in.
You are in
Group C.
Group.
Yeah.
I was getting there. It's Group C. I've got a list.
Thank you.
Joe.
Hi, good evening, Bob. I'm Joseph Everdell. I work at Archbishop Holgate School and I'm part of Group B representing the Church of England.
Thanks, Joe. Karen?
Hi there, I'm Karen Vincent. I work at All Saints Roman Catholic School and I'm Group A.
And Councillor Wilson, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Wilson, so I'm Councillor for Fishergate, so representing Group D.
Thanks very much, folks. And for confirmation, are we indeed quorate across the groups? We are. Brilliant. That's a good sign. Okay. Declarations of interest. Does anybody have any declarations of interest? Councillor Knight.
Can I just ask everybody to speak quite close to the microphone because the acoustics aren't very good in here. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So please speak clearly. The process typically is your breath should hit the microphone, which for some of us for me is not difficult, but for some people, of course, yeah. Okay, so now we move on to item 2, which is the minutes and matters arising from those minutes. Now we have a number of sets of minutes for approval. So the first set is the 15th of October 2024.
Hi, Penny's got an amendment to say where it says in person, it's a person of the same religion, so I'll make that update in the minutes.
Thanks for that. I think that seems reasonable. Does anybody have any other amendments or concerns about the minutes of 15th of October 2024? Councillor Knight.
Just sorry, regarding the newsletter, we've got in the minutes that it would be produced on a monthly basis. I think we'd agreed either quarterly or termly. I think we would be challenged to find fresh information for every month. Can be good to be challenged, but I think that would be a difficult.
Can we agree then on quarterly? Is that, yeah, we're happy with that? No one shouting at me, so we'll go with that. Any further amendments or concerns? Are we all happy then with those minor amendments that those minutes are accurate? Absolutely fantastic. Right, well, I will sign those at, assume I've got to sign them. Have you got them? Perfect. Next set of minutes was the meeting where I wasn't there actually, so it's the 3rd of February. So does anybody have any concerns about those minutes for accuracy? Okay. I'm not sure if I can sign them if I wasn't there, but otherwise Ben can if that's the necessary process. Excuse me. And then there was a brief meeting on the 24th of February due to the inquiracy of the previous meeting, just to confirm the details of the 3rd of February. That seems pretty satisfactory. Has anyone got any concerns about that? No, then again, I'll sign those as needed. Okay. Were there any specific matters arising from any of those sets of minutes?
I've submitted the annual reports in the SACRE and the DFE.
Thank you. Okay, then we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Item 3, and that is the school survey 2025. Maxine, are you introducing this?
Yes, as members, we've been doing an annual school survey in the autumn term, which helps to inform the work that we need to put into the annual SACRE reports. And also it's useful as well, I think, for gathering evidence for the SACRE development plan as well, in terms of priorities that may be coming through from schools about areas of RE education in the city. Last year, as you know, we slimmed down the amount of questions that were sent out, and we did have a healthier response to that survey. What I'm proposing is that we stick with a slimmed down version, but whether we wanted to focus on any particular themes in this year's survey. So anything that we would specifically like comments on. So for example, we know that we will be coming up to the formal review of the agreed syllabus in 2026. So we could use this as an opportunity to find out people's views of the current agreed syllabus and any changes that they would like to see as we move into that formal review and rewrite of the agreed syllabus. So I thought that was a useful area that we could put some questions into the survey. Again, keeping the survey quite tight, not too many questions, making it easy for people to answer. I am as well going to see if business intelligence can actually help me with putting it out as an online survey, so that it's easier to analyse the results and also probably easier for people to respond to as well. So if we've got more questions where they're able to do a few yes, no's and then put in a little bit of extra detail. That may be something that again encourages more responses back.
Thanks, Maxine. And that is something we, particularly on the simplicity of response, was something we've talked about previously, wasn't it? So thanks for that, Ben.
Having been doing quite a few school talks recently, it struck me that I don't know which schools are choosing when they get to GCSE which subjects, which religions to focus on.
Right.
And I think that would be a really useful piece of information in terms of knowing what to circulate.
So to add a question linked to the GCSE syllabus that's being followed and which faith groups there.
Yeah, and it could be done as a very
Yeah.
simple, drop down, and they just click on the two that they study.
Fine.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments about what they'd like to learn?
And obviously we do send them out as two separate surveys. There is a primary one and a secondary one, and they go out separately. So yeah, it makes sense to have any questions tailored to the particular phases.
Mark?
Does this go to all schools?
I think having a question around what the agreed syllabus, what thoughts on the agreed syllabus is right now is probably quite important. We did speak obviously about how we make the survey simpler and shorter, and I wonder how, if we are going to put something out, it's probably just giving a free text box to sort of give some responses, but that might lead to some people just missing that question out, and that will be unfortunate. So I don't know what other people's thoughts are, but I think maybe just a scaling question on how they found delivering the syllabus this time, and then an opportunity to sort of say to feed in for other things that they'd like to see. Does that sound reasonable to people? Councillor Knight?
Yes, I think that's an excellent idea, and I think we might be able to tease out that might prompt questions and comments about other issues that we might be able to pick up on as well. So that's a good leading question.
Excellent. Maxine?
Okay, yeah, obviously as well, we did agree at the review of the agreed syllabus that we would consider the role of humanism within the revised agreed syllabus. So just to remind everybody that is the case. So it may well be useful to have questions in the survey which link to how schools may be approaching non-faith RE as part of their planning.
And could, I suppose, going back to Ben's original suggestion about what they're choosing for the syllabus at GCSE, it's in that same vein of questions, is what are your thoughts and confidence around teaching other parts of non-faith? Colin, is this about this specific point?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll let Diane in after that.
Okay, just state the obvious that we have people available if you need help in shaping that agenda or in speaking.
That's really helpful, thank you.
Thanks very much, Colin. Diane?
A couple of things. One, it'd be useful to have a question about CPD. We talked before about what CPD we think as a SACRE schools might want. So for future going forward, we talked about that on a development plan. So a question asking what kind of CPD would be useful to you as an RE lead or as an RE teacher. And then secondly, I know coming up to hubs and update later, but we're talking about humanism. There are some resources signposted on there for humanism.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I noticed those as well and thought that was quite useful as part of that. Okay, Maxine, does that sound reasonable? So in terms of the process going forwards,
what I'll do is as last year, I'll share a draft copy with you at the July meeting, and as I say, work with business intelligence to see how we get it out to schools in a form that people can just do a click response and a bit of open text.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to move on to, I was going to move on to item 4, which is an update from Interfaith, but I don't know if Penny was possibly going to.
Yeah, my reason for putting this on the agenda is that I have been reviewing some of the agendas of other SACREs in other parts of the country, and many of them have a standing item as an update from Interfaith, and it encourages that relationship between the local interfaith group and SACRE. So what I would propose is that we do have this as a standing item on SACRE agendas from this point going forward, and then it gives those colleagues who are also linked to Interfaith a chance to think about what they would like SACRE to be aware of. And I know Penny had talked before about another school competition, perhaps in the autumn of this year. And it just gives that opportunity for that to be discussed. But also, you know, sort of a signposting between SACRE and Interfaith as well.
Thanks, Maxine. One thing I'd say about that is I am always slightly reticent about standing items when we get to them and then sort of someone going, well, I haven't got anything to say, or no one being prepared in a way. So I wonder if we're going to do it, I think it'd be good to make sure that for our July meeting, we've spoken to Interfaith members in advance, and if they can maybe just, it doesn't have to be too formal, but just a few sort of list of things that are going on that we can then have a meaningful discussion about. That's what I'd like to see ideally. So if we can think about that, that'd be helpful. Does anybody else have any other thoughts on that? Ben?
Slightly, it's the same issue, because Interfaith isn't a personal organisation, and it feels to me that in the same way, for the item to be useful, it needs to be owned by somebody to report on something that's relevant to us. Now, if D is the obvious person to own it at the moment, but should do in a sort of ex officio way rather than as a D forever, because D may not forever be representing them. And I would want to make certain that it was stuff that's relevant to us, because I go to lots of interfaith meetings and I come to SACRE meetings, and there's plenty to discuss that isn't relevant to each other. But I can see that there's value in it.
Shall we see how that one goes then, and then see what we think about it? Because I think that's a relevant point. That's sort of what I was saying, really, is we want to make sure that there's something for us to get our teeth into when it's on the agenda.
So and make this an update from the York Interfaith Network, if that's
and I think that would mean that York Interfaith Network are having to think in advance. It's not just D, it could be, you know, she's just the conduit to get it here, or whatever's appropriate. Okay, happy with that?
Yeah, good.
Lovely. Item 5, the RE Hubs update. Now you have this in your pack. Diane already sort of alluded to it a few minutes ago. Maxine, you starting this one?
Yes, obviously the RE Hubs are a sort of rich resource for RE teachers in the city. But they do send through these termly newsletters, which we do send out. And it's reminding everybody that there are resources out there which support schools, and also they do send these through to SACRE members. So these are open events that people can log on to as SACRE members, as well as being useful to schools. I think it's really it's us as York SACRE ensuring that we're really encouraging schools to link with the RE Hubs, because I think the local network groups, TACO, are a bit intermittent, aren't they, in the way that they meet? I don't know what's happened, for example, with the secondary group at the moment. We've got quite a good maintained primary schools group that's run internally at the moment, but it's really how we can ensure that we're helping to connect people to these resources, I think is the key thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is from any of the RE teachers in the room or virtually in the room, what their understanding and interaction is with sort of this piece of work, this and RE Hubs in general. Anybody?
Hello, I can't remember how to put my hand up, but I am online. I have never been, in the 9 years that I've been working at All Saints, ever been to a secondary RE meetup. I've never known about any of them, if there have been any.
So I'm just checking for messages. Yeah, so Joseph said he's had no experience of them either. Taco?
Yeah, and I second that as well. I think there's been a few attempts in the past to try and get emails of heads of departments or other RE teachers, and changing departments, people going away for a short amount of time, it always kind of gets in the way. No, I'm not the person to talk to, this is the person, and emails get lost, and it's very difficult to kind of have the one central source to actually get everybody going. And then the second part is being able to have the time to meet as well. In secondary school is very difficult. I know there's a lot of leaders in schools might find it difficult to let the heads of RE go for an hour or so to go and meet during term time. So I think a lot of people are a little bit maybe holding back and trying to put that together because they fear that they might not be able to give that time. So I think those have been two of the issues that have meant, like, it's the same thing for me. I've not been part of any secondary school meetups at all.
Thanks. Diane, you got your hand up?
Found when I worked for the Diocese of Leeds that getting people together obviously is difficult, get people out, as people have said just now, but now we've got online possibilities and linking it back to the CPD needs, making the conversation valid and useful is key with this. So again, finding out what the needs are, assessing those, and I think then you get more take up if it's online.
Yeah, that certainly can make it easier. Taco?
I was just going to say the last time that we did it was when we had the launch of the agreed syllabus, and that was online because it was during COVID, and it was really, really useful actually to sort of speak to quite a lot of the members of the RE staff around the city. You know, going from nursery, even sort of preschool all the way up to secondary school and full. So it was really useful to have that. So maybe we can link that into kind of having the relaunch and having all the RE teachers in the room, as it were, and kind of get something like that going while they're all in there.
I think that's an absolutely fantastic idea in terms of an ambition, really, and I think it depends on how we do it, but we could either do that online or we could do that face to face here potentially. Have an opportunity to deliver some CPD at the same time, which then goes back to the survey. We'd hopefully find a little bit out about what RE teachers want. It'd go back to also the visits that we did previously, where there was a request from primary schools to sort of look at, what is out there for other faiths and non-faith worldviews and things like that. So I think that could be quite useful. It's a tricky question. What's the closest thing to an email list we've got at the moment? Have we not got anything?
Yes, I've got an email list from people that have emailed me back with the surveys. So I have got both some primary and some secondary emails. Hopefully people haven't moved in the last year, but yeah.
It's a big ask.
Yeah.
But I suppose that right there then is, we've got the basis.
We do have the maintained primary RE network as well, which obviously they're all in contact with each other.
Across the secondary schools, then we have the details. It might be worth reaching out to them and seeing if there's any appetite to do anything collectively and start a little bit of a network. So Wonder of an Action.
We could offer a sort of a virtual get together as a start to say, is there appetite for a network group in secondary, and just start from there.
We start sending an email out, can't we? If no one responds, we know what they think, don't we? Okay, Diane?
I think that's a good idea, Maxine. I still think that there needs to be a point to it. If you just say, let's meet up for a chat, that's not going to work. There has to be a direction. But then there's lots going on in RE at the moment. So an update of what's happening in RE generally, or something that's a catchy, this is going to be good. You need to come.
Yeah,
needs to attract them.
Ofsted usually brings everybody into a network meeting, in my experience. Yeah, so yes, I agree with you, Diane. People do need to view it as something that is valuable, and they're going to walk away with some valuable things from. But I think we'll give it a go and see if there is any appetite for it. I do understand that people are horrendously busy, and it even joining a network meeting virtually sometimes is really difficult, which, as you say, Diane, there's got to be a compelling reason that you feel that you're going to attend it. But I think one of them is just putting people back into connection with each other as well. You know who the RE teachers or RE leaders are in the schools within the immediate area.
Thank you. Ben?
It seems to me that if we knew what subjects they were trying to teach, there's normally, in my experience, they're doing Christianity +1. And Christianity is easy because you'll have teachers who are Christians, and the +1 is often really awkward and they don't know where to get resources, whether it's Islam, whether it's Judaism. And so if we were able to do the survey, then we could specialize on, are you teaching? We could do a session on resources. There's lots of problems, particularly at the moment, the Jewish community would talk about resources which are struggling with Israel-Palestine, as we all are. So there could be something there which actively useful. I think
that's very fair. I think the other thing that comes through every year in the survey as well is increasingly non-specialists being asked to teach RE. And you know, what support there is available for them where they've picked it up as an additional subject. So that's one of the things that we might want to think about as a SACRE, how we can help support those non-subject specialists who are increasingly picking up RE as part of their timetables.
Thank you. Okay, so I think we've got a way forward with that one. So at least test the water and see what people are thinking. Just before I move on to the next item, I've just had an email from Penny to say that unfortunately she's not going to make it to the meeting, so she sends her apologies. Okie dokie, we are now on item 6, which is in the supplementary agenda pack. So that is the review of the SACRE development plan. And I'll hand over to Maxine to explain a little bit about what this is.
Yeah, as you can see, the existing SACRE development plan was designed to cover 2022-24. We do usually plan on either a 2 or a 3 year cycle for these plans. I would suggest we go 25 to 27, and that will also incorporate the review of the agreed syllabus. The 5 key functions of SACREs are the things that are included within the development plan. You don't have to include all of them, but it's a helpful tool for looking at how to construct the development plan. I know that Bob and Ben a while ago actually went through and did a review of the existing plan. That was done, as I say, a while ago now, so it may well be that we want to kick this review off with just seeing, is there anything else that we can add to that RAG and that review? And then I think it is about us deciding which of the priorities we want to include in the new plan. Do we want to include all 5 areas, or are there specific things that we want to focus on to ensure that the plan gets delivered and it's really focused and it's really tight? As I say, there is a small budget attached to SACRE. So one of the things that we may want to think about in terms of quality of teaching and provision in RE is whether we do put on an RE conference. in the new academic year 25-26, and that almost is a good way as well of starting that process of reviewing the agreed syllabus and getting the views of the RE community, but also that opportunity to get some rich CPD and doing that perhaps in partnership. And Diane, I don't know how possible this is with somewhere like York St John.
I did, yes, sorry, I did speak to the powers that be, and it was received positively. Would depend on, in terms of who might speak, I think you asked me to ask who
yes
would be available to speak. That depends on what the topic would be, topic would be. But it's a possibility for the use of the space as well. So
right.
We just need more thinking and planning around that.
Yeah, and I think we want to respond to what is going to be most useful to the RE teaching community in York as well. So Taco, I don't know whether you've got any views, and also Joseph and Catherine, about what maybe hot topics in secondary schools at the moment that RE teachers are wanting to get some extra support around. And we can do a similar thing by tapping into the RE primary networks.
Just before you come back on that, I think Penny is now in the waiting room. She's on her way into the room. So there you go. Virtually, the powers of technology are wonderful, aren't they? Okay, Diane?
Yeah, I was just going to follow up. There are a lot of pointers as to what we could talk about in terms of deep and meaningful. There's an awful lot in that that could lead us in the right direction as to what's needed, even without speaking to schools. I think schools probably would agree with a lot of what's said in there and the direction of the subject and what we need to do to improve teaching and learning in RE.
Yeah.
And there's a lot in deep and meaningful about that.
Yeah. So I think we could construct sort of an agenda for a conference around that, but obviously we'd probably want to draw together a small steering group to begin to pull that together and think about the timing of it, and also getting the stuff out there to secure the audience and also the speakers.
Okay, I'm quite aware that we just suddenly had a conversation about organising a conference when we were looking at a development plan.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking it would be under priority 2, promoting improvement in standards, quality of teaching and provision in RE.
So I think, but there's a couple of things to think about with this agenda item, isn't there? I suppose there's one, looking at, we did review this development plan. It's a great opportunity to look at what you've not done when you look at a development plan, isn't it? I have to say that I think that some things on this we've done quite well. I think and I don't know what Ben felt about this, it was quite disparate. And I can sort of say that because I wasn't involved in setting it. Also, I'd say that the school visits, the one at the end, we did those extra school visits, and I'd have put that to green by now. So I think that's one we can say we did better on. Ben, do you want to comment at all on the work we did? Are you happy? Just use your microphone. Sorry, Ben, just your microphone.
There is some updating to be done, but it is a bit depressing because there's some stuff here which is frankly very easy that I don't understand why we've not ticked off. So people's profiles on a website shouldn't take 3 years.
Yeah, I did check the website today actually, and we've got an up-to-date membership. However, I did mine, and I'll say again, I did mine, but other people did not do theirs, clearly. And it was an action from a number of meetings ago to actually provide, 10, 20 words about who you are. So can we put that down as an action again for today? Just a very simple, who you are, why you're on this board, is it as a teacher, is it as a representative of a faith or worldview? And can we have those sort of ready for the next meeting?
Well, Bob, can I, it's a 5-minute task. Can I suggest that we send them out straight after the meeting and we all agree that we will reply? I'm pretty certain I've done, but I haven't checked. Because that's the only way it's going to happen. If it's for the next meeting, we'll get to the next meeting and notice we haven't done it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Right, we can take that one off. That's good. Diane, you had your hand up. It's just gone down.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm not sure if I did it because it's so long. Well, I'm pretty sure I did do it, but it's so long ago. Is there any way that is there a way of checking that it has been done
I think
and chasing up those that haven't?
I think let's just agree to do it again. I know I did it, but I doubt anyone can find it anywhere. But so let's just, it's 5 minutes of a job. I agree. Let's just do it. And also we have new members since we did do this, so it's worth checking that and doing that again. Other things on the development plan. Yeah, I mean, for example, there's one on there that was support the Interfaith logo competition. Whilst that's a laudable thing to do, I wonder if on a development plan, it should be a bit broader than that. And I think what we've talked about already tonight about having a standing item for Interfaith. So my view would be that you need something on there that's building better links with Interfaith. I agree, Maxine and others, about putting forward a conference of some description. I think we should continue with the school visits to evaluate effectiveness. I'll be honest, I think we should do less things and do them well. I don't know if anybody else has any views about anything that they think that we need to involve right now. Okay, so in terms of the next development plan, so the 2025 to 27, can I suggest that me and you, Maxine, get together and put together a draft development plan? Ben, do you want to be involved in that?
I would quite, yeah.
Yeah, I think between the three of us, if we can put something together, bring that to the July meeting for them people to tear apart abusers, whatever you need to do to make it work. Okay. Does that sound okay, Councillor Knight?
Just a suggestion. I'm thinking if we are looking at some sort of conference, then to have maybe a youth element for that, because we know how valuable having that youth voice has been, and I think anything we can do to carry that on would be useful. So if that can be sort of put into the mix.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. And we did say we wanted to develop that youth strength.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It was a really positive evening actually out in Holgate, where we spoke to young people about their experiences directly of RE, and it's something that I certainly think we should repeat at some point. So yeah, I think that's very helpful.
The other thing as well, with once we've got the signed off revised development plan, then again I think we should publish that on the SACRE website page so that people know what SACRE is actually prioritising over that period of time and when they can expect to see things happening as well. Which again, when I've checked a number of different SACREs around the country, they do put their development plan onto their webpage.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think that goes back to the involving our community, and so we're informing our community by doing something like that. Okay, anything else about the development plan, how we move forward with that? New? Lovely. Item 7 is the NASACRE update. There is a link to that in your pack, briefings 41, 42. Does anyone have anything to say about that in particular?
The only thing, obviously, for SACRE members to be aware of is that NASACRE has recently changed its status in that it has become a CIO, so it's a charitable incorporated organisation. and it will start to charge for certain things as well, because it has to make an income. So that's one of the things just to bear in mind, that things have changed with NASACRE.
Thank you. I think that's one to sort of watch over time and sort of see how that does change, and how, you know, useful that organisation has been to things like SACRE. Anything else on that item? Just as an update. Okay. Item 8 is correspondence on complaints and determinations.
I've received no complaints or determinations since the previous SACRE meeting. One of the things that I would say is whether we need to just remind people about the process for determinations in particular, because it's whether schools are consciously applying for those is really important, and just that reminder may well be important.
Mark?
Can I ask what a determination is?
Yeah. I'd be half too.
Thank you. Sorry, I should have explained that. But Maxine, do you want to explain it in more detail than I could?
It's when a school is applying for somebody to be withdrawn from the RE curriculum.
So, do you mean an individual person, an individual child?
It's where they actually
Excluded.
No, it's where they have requested that the child is not included within RE, which is a statutory subject, and some parents and carers can do that. And as I say, the school has a process, but they should also inform SACRE if they've received any applications for determination.
I mean, this might be opening a can of worms, I don't know, but here we go. We're about to put a survey out. Could we ask a question as part of that survey? Are you aware of any young people who have been removed in this way? Just as, not even are you aware of any people, what number of people?
Has your school had any applications?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the way to put it.
Yeah.
Has your school had any applications for determination? Then we'd at least get a feel for whether the fact that we're hearing nothing is accurate. I mean, if we come back after the survey, it says, God, there's 1,000 people, then clearly we've learned that no one's using that process. But that might be helpful in the first instance if people are agreeable to that. Colin? Would it make sense or not to ask a qualitative question with that as well, as in reasons? Correct me if I'm wrong, but if the determination was to come through to us, what would we get as a result?
We'd actually get a notification that they've been asked to be withdrawn for this particular reason.
So what I'm trying to get to is awareness of SACRE are meant to be told. And then if we get to that point and then we start to hear about determinations, then we will start to hear those reasons. I think it would be unfair, I think, to sort of retrospectively ask those questions, and but certainly something to consider. Yeah, well, the reason for asking, I think, is to find trends over time. Yeah, exactly. Forward looking. Yeah, and that's sort of why I'm saying maybe we could look at that through the survey. Taco?
Again, you might correct me if I'm wrong here, because I know that I believe that on school websites they are supposed to publish underneath the RE curriculum that you are able to request withdrawal, but I don't think it says that you should include that request to SACRE. So it would be interesting. I don't think ours does. It says that you can request to be withdrawn, but I don't think it mentions that you should apply to SACRE. So that would be interesting to see if schools have that caveat essentially. Ben?
So I think the responsibility is on the school, isn't it? Not on
interesting to see.
Yeah, it is. It's just it's a notification more than anything else. So it's a decision by the school. It's not a decision by SACRE, but it's that SACRE has noted. Yeah.
And I think in the long run, you know, you start to spot trends and you start to spot patterns, that informs your agreed syllabus going forward as well, because you'd hope that those schools, when someone comes saying we want to remove a young person from a particular lesson, that there's a conversation there about, well, what is it about that particular lesson that is concerning you? But yeah, no, I think that could be a way forward, just to try and remind people that it exists as a way, as a process. Okay, anything else on that item? Obviously, we've not had any, so there's not much to talk about. Well, I'll try my best. Okay, any other business? Councillor Knight.
Thank you, Chair. You mentioned, Maxine, a small budget, and my ears pricked up whenever anyone's offering potential for money. It just occurred to me, do we think there might be any purpose in perhaps offering, with regards to the survey, in offering a small prize for the school, maybe £50 worth of materials or whatever it is, or books, to encourage the completion of the survey, just to give them a little sweetener? I don't know what budget we're talking. I don't know if we're talking £3.50 or 3,500, but just a little sweetener. I don't know. I mean, do the teachers think that would be a bit of a motivator?
20 quid beer voucher, do you think you do? Just use your microphone.
I honestly couldn't comment at the moment. It generally would depend on the offer.
Yeah, I think, do we struggle? What did we get in the last survey?
We had 19 returns last time out of, we've got 63 schools in the city. We did have response from both the maintained secondary schools. So that was an important thing, because obviously SACRE's responsibilities are largely around local authority maintained. But we also, it's healthy, we get a very healthy response from primary academies as well. So we do get a good cross-section of schools. And obviously we've got a number of faith schools in the city that they have different arrangements anyway, because they don't follow the agreed syllabus. They will be following the diocesan syllabus.
So Karen actually mentioned earlier on in the chat that she didn't feel she could comment on the agreed syllabus because in the Catholic school she doesn't follow it, for example. I think it's quite difficult because you should just be getting people to fill it in, really. But I actually wonder if there's more sort of around looking at that budget for what else we can do in terms of support and marketing and almost getting people into a space. That could be quite helpful.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about, perhaps starting to notionally put the budget against the development plan.
Yeah, and I think in our meeting, when we're looking at then in July, we can come back with a sort of clearer picture of how we think that money could be spent, and we're not talking a lot. Taco.
Again, just sort of think about it. If we were to have some sort of conference, could we put some sort of question out to NASACRE or RE hubs to see if they've maybe got a package of CPD that they could bring to us, because they've got lots of speakers and they've got lots of information that I know members of staff would enjoy just sort of seeing and having different ideas. And they have the contacts and they have the people that would be happy to
and certainly I'll contact Olivia Hargraves, who obviously is linked to our regional RE hub, and see what suggestions she can provide.
Okay. Any other business? Lovely. Well, I'm quite aware that obviously we do have several new members here tonight, and I hope that at least some of what we talked about made some sense. And it's sort of an open offer as chair to sort of say I'm happy to, meet up for a coffee at some point, sit and have a chat about this meeting, this group ahead of next meeting, because I think it's quite useful sometimes to have sat in it, enjoyed it, and then have questions afterwards. So it's just an open opportunity. If anybody wants to take me up on that, please just get in touch.
There are some induction resources as well, which can be shared, which were developed couple of years ago, weren't they? And yeah, so certainly we can circulate those.
Well, could we circulate those around the whole committee,
Yes.
please?
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent. Okay. And Diane's just put in the chat that she's happy to be involved in a working party. Is that linked to the conference, Diane?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Okay, in that case, the next meeting is the 15th of July, 6 o'clock here. That's what it says on this bit of paper. And I'll close the meeting there. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.